Green morning, green afternoon, green evening, world over. All our brothers and sisters across the globe, those are joining for this particular program. I am really indebted to all of you. It's indeed a great pleasure and our deepest gratitude and thanks to all of you for having spared your most valuable time. This is a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening. People, those are in Canada, United States, Latin America. It's a wonderful green morning for all of you. Please enjoy your cup of coffee, your tea, your gym, your exercise, your running, your jogging, your walking, whatever you're doing. Keep enjoying that. People, those have enjoyed their afternoon lunch and they're right with us in the European Union. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, indeed a great pleasure to have all of you. And of course, when I talk about beautiful Bharat, when I talk about India, it's early evening and people, those are joining me from Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei, all my brothers and sisters, because Northeast India enjoys a very close confluence with our beautiful neighbors in the ASEAN region. We are privileged that this morning, this afternoon, this evening, on Saturday, 23rd of October, 2021, we are being joined by Mr. Tyrone D. Brass. He is a very eminent, very respectful. Personally, I hold great regards for him. He's such a wonderful soul, such a wonderful person. And it's a treat to know him right from the beginning. During this pandemic, we got across to each other. And I extend a lot of greetings and warmth to Mr. Tyrone D. Brass, the headmaster of the Sherwood School, Tura, and the CEO, Consilium, that is in the beautiful state of Meghalaya, in the northeast part of India. He's taking this entire efforts to do the packaging. I'm indebted to him. He brought Shri Dilip Mukherjee the other day, and that was on the World Teachers Day, on the eve of World Teachers Day. And thereafter, he brought another group of very eminent educators, visionary, and they shared their expertise, their cerebrum, their experiences. There was a great learning. I became more humble. Also, this morning, this afternoon, being joined by Mr. Mark Laitflang Stone, the entrepreneur, the impact coach, the motivational speaker, and the founder of the Avenues. It's indeed a great treat. Ladies and gentlemen, before I move to the next slide, I wish to share with all of you, first of all, heartiest congratulations. India has completed 1 billion dose, and that is for the coronavirus. And we pray to Almighty, no more suffering to the humanity. And world over, there should be complete, we should get back to the original system where we were. And secondly, good news, the second good news I wish to share with all of you, that Ministry of Tourism, Government of India took initiative, and along with the Ministry of Railways, IRCTC, they are launching a special tourist train for exploring 5 northeastern states. Just, can you imagine, after 3 days, on 26th of November 2021, Dekho Apna Desh. And that is going to be flagged off from Safdarjung railway station from Delhi. It will be 14 nights and 15 days trip. And they will be traveling to 5 states and of course, couple of destinations, and they would enjoy. So our best wishes to everybody, whosoever is going to take that trip. I wish I was also one of them. And subsequently, I'm pretty sure that I will also enjoy this train. I would love to have this train journey, 14 nights and 15 days, where everything is going to be inclusive. And of course, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal, they all are going to enjoy Tripura also. And people will be traveling to different places. So our best wishes to everybody, whosoever has booked for 26th of November. On behalf of International Chamber for Service Industry, we extend a very warm welcome to everybody. There are 31.4 million Indians abroad. And those of us who belong to Northeast part of India, why not we all should gather together? Let's become the strength for Northeast. Northeast has given you a lot, and today you enjoy a wonderful, wonderful different places on this continent. Why not to give back something to your own civilization, society, and the people? Now, ladies and gentlemen, education is incomplete without skills, and education and skills in our chamber eyes is incomplete unless we give the right opening to every child. Either they should become startup, or they become entrepreneur, or they become self-employed, or they get some employment, but there has to be an outcome. If we really want India to become self-reliant, that's going to be possible when we are going to take care of our youth. During this entire pandemic, we have done more than 1250 webinars. And I'm so very happy that we got connected almost with 11,000 teachers and principals and educators across the world, and more than 1 lakh youth are the part of our family now globally. So we have dedicated everything to our educators, our teacher and education ecosystem. Welcome to Northeast part of India. Beautiful states of Arunachal, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Sikkim, and of course, beautiful with Assam, our Meghalaya. You get down at Guwahati Airport, take a beautiful journey, travel by road, because this evening, very specially brought by Mr. Tyrone for entire Northeast, who is based there in So he was recalling and he was recollecting. 4th of December 2020, he was with us when we had a special program for Northeast. I still recall. There was another program we had, Empowering Northeast, and where we had basically thought about Atal Tinkering Labs of Niti Aayog. And thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, these young children on the left-hand side, 4 of them, they are also from Meghalaya, and they are basically startups, and they're doing a lot of programs from US, that is Zizira. And then on the right, you have got another co-founder director, that is Krushi Karma, that is naturals from Manipur. Wonderful session with him. Here is R.K. Sushant, and here is Lokanand. They have done a wonderful programs with us. I'm grateful to them. And here are the young boys and girls from the entire Northeast part of India. They have done further wonderful programs with us. I'm grateful to all of them. Tomorrow morning, we are going to have a very special program for all of you who are from education, educators. Those are basically counselors, teachers, headmasters, principals, directors, vice chancellors, or for that matter, even if you're a corporate. We are starting a beautiful series tomorrow morning from California, 7 Habits of Highly Fulfilled People. The journey of self-discovery, happiness, significance, highest purpose, that is living our highest purpose, the gift of gratitude, the gift of generosity, the gift of harmlessness, the gift of selfless service, the gift of total acceptance, the gift of presence, and universal quest for significance. This is starting tomorrow morning, and everything is towards making education and skills relevant. Our chamber, in a very humble way, earlier we used to call it finishing school, but now seeing the mood, tone, and the efforts of everybody, and having got the valuable inputs, we have converted that into e-Gurukul during pandemic, where everything is free of cost. We are focusing on service industry, and in the first phase, we have taken tourism and entertainment industry. So you're more than welcome. If you're a young boy or a girl, whosoever is between the age of 14 to 28, you can register on our website, ICSIindia.in. Everything is free of cost. You get everything free. And it is not a formal education. It is not a formal skilling. That is the role of Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Ours is a global confluence to give you the valuable inputs from the world over. And this is something, again, very interesting. For Northeast, it's a very special slide we all should share. There are a lot of young boys and girls in Northeast who would like to be a teacher, who would like to be a trainer. They would like to go on some assignment short time abroad, and they would like to do something abroad. And if you're interested to go on a short-term, quick assignment abroad in some countries, then over here is a services exports. You might be yoga teacher, you might be wellness teacher, you might be for IT, you might be for personality development, you may be for communication skills. Whatever is your expertise, start working onto your talent, and that you convert into. And now during pandemic and post-pandemic, start understanding B2B is no more business to business. It's back to basics of our life: basic food, basic health, basic happiness, basic education, earn and learn, sustainable development for all of us. And ladies and gentlemen, Napoleon Hill, there's a 9-hour audio available on YouTube. Do witness that. Do listen to that. I might have listened at least 40 times so far. And that is whatever human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Let's get together. Let's make education. Let's make skills. Let's make micro, small, and medium enterprise. Let's make tourism, everything relevant for all of us. So hearty welcome. Welcome to beautiful Northeast, which is next to my heart. I have got a deep association for last 4 decades. I started my humble journey, and when I look back and I recall what a wonderful days of my life, I started from Longding, and that was the place, Waka Punctua, as a second lieutenant of the Indian Army, and then moving across entire Northeast. What a wonderful, and thereafter Ministry of Tourism, and now world over with non-resident Indians. So with these words, welcome to Northeast. Hearty welcome to Mr. Tyrone and Mr. Mark. And ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending a very warm welcome to both of them and everybody whosoever is joining us today. It's indeed a great, great pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for being a part of ours. And let's take on the journey. I would request Mr. Tyrone to now take on from here, bring Mr. Mark also, and then further we can take on the journey. Hearty welcome to Northeast and all, Mr. Tyrone and Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Doctor, for your welcoming speech this evening. Today's guest is one who personifies grit and determination and brings about transformation. He began his life at the tender age of 16, selling flowers, and then transformed himself to become an award-winning entrepreneur, speaker, and one who believes that what is perceived is achieved. He has impacted over 10,000 lives in the northeast of India. I present to you Mr. Mark Laitflang Stone, founder and CEO of Avenues Northeast India, leading personal development enterprise. Mark's is helping people to metamorphose and achieve their true potential. His ability to see this transformation in young people has taken him across continents, and he was awarded the inaugural Northeast Young Heroes Award for Education for the year 2020. Congratulations, Mark. And now, with his outstanding recognition, and he's been awarded with the Asian Youth Empowerment 2020-2021. This recognition is being awarded to him. It will be in Dubai on the 26th of October. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our guest this evening, who's come with a great role of success. And we're looking forward to an interaction with Mr. Mark Stone this evening. Welcome, Mark. Is it audible?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Dr. Gulshan Sharma, I'm a big fan. Nice to see you. Salams, namastes, greetings to you. Mr. Tyrone, sir, I'm going to call you sir. Mr. DeBras is an educator and an ambassador for education from our corner of the world. And I have deep regard for him, deep respect. Thank you, Mr. DeBras. Great to have you here. And it's such an honor to have you bring me into this very august audience. Thank you. I actually don't really know how to address the universe of work that we've been doing in the last 19 years. But let me begin with that word, time. I think when you think about the fact that time is so finite almost these days that you understand you have a certain amount of years to live, And I keep telling the audiences that we work with and the young people we educate, time is your best friend if you choose to break down your day into manageable blocks. And I must admit, I've had a very hard time following that advice myself because work has just been crazy and you are both busy gentlemen, so you know what it must be like. But you use the word success, Mr. DeBras, and I would like to defer and tell you that we're all works in progress. I don't think that there is anything that can be construed as success. To me, what we're doing with young people in Northeast India is at the heart of my entire passion, my vision for what should happen with young people from our corner of the world. So I'm going to speak about a couple of ideas, a couple of frameworks that I think can genuinely help young people, not just in our corner of the country, but anywhere in the world, especially in emerging economies, to help them learn to cope with the challenges of life. For me, it's a of critical importance to understand that there are three large areas of challenge that we face. The first is this very powerful word called a label. A label is what you carry on your heart, on your chest. It's the roots, it's the culture you come from, the upbringing. But it's also the labels that other people put on our personhoods. It's the idea that no matter who you are or who you think you are or where you come from, there's always this magical word called perspective. And sometimes your perspective about yourself does not match the perspective of somebody else about you. And this is a huge gap for our young people. The perspective that people carry, the labels that people carry about Northeastern men and women, boys and girls, is the fact that we are not go-getters. Is the fact that we come from a place in the country that has not had equal access to equal opportunity, and this is true. Is the fact that none of our young people are able to make significant progress in life, either because of a lack of quality education or because of a lack of simply that go-getting attitude to achieve something and to make a difference in the world. I've heard some very disgusting labels being used for our communities. Labels such as, I'm not going to use words that are infrequently used in the press or in media, but I'm going to talk about words that were used for me. When I was growing up, when I decided to leave home at the tender age, like you said, of 16, now when I think about it, it was a very rash, foolish thing to do. But I convinced my father, my late father, who was a very brave father, to let me go and allow me to start exploring my life in Calcutta. And I remember this incident where for a good period of time, I had no stable influence in the city. I didn't know who to turn to. And that is, of course, for a very long story for some other day. But I do want to tell you what emerged from that. What emerged from that was the belief that when push comes to shove, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, when difficulties arise, we were growing up in the 90s, in the 80s, when there were no mobile phones, there was no internet services, and there was very little that one could do to access what is now being called coaching or training or personal development or even a helpline to help you out in difficult times. There was none of that. So when you found yourself alone in a city away from your parents, not knowing what to do, not knowing what could come next, having your last 5,000 rupees that your father gave you stolen from your hand, being kicked out of the uncle's home that you were put in, on the streets for 2 nights, not knowing where to go, I know what it's like to feel alone. And I understand what it took for me to rise above that challenge and convince the people I was going to school with that everything was normal. That challenge of being able to understand that everybody looked at me at that time as a boy from the Northeast, Pahadi wala ladka. I don't know how else to explain it to you, but it was very derogatory. And the manner in which I was described was as a person of lesser means, of lesser opportunities, who would not get anything done in life. I was only good for two things: music and playing the guitar. And that's all I was written off for. Now, this is the common sentiment that echoes in the hearts of a lot of young people. Are we seen to be more than what the world sees us to be? And how do you transcend that gap from being who you say you are and who the world thinks you are or tells you you should be? I don't know how many people are tuning into this or will watch this in the future, but I will bring to your attention a very personal story that helped me beat my labels very early on in life. I was a mediocre student. Uh, I have now spent 19 years in what we call non-conventional education, building frameworks that support tribal boys and girls with confidence, with soft skills, and with life coaching that prepares them for anything in life. But when I was growing up, I was the boy who would be suspended from school for changing his marks in his report card because he didn't know how to calculate the final percentage, and his father caught him and the principal caught him, and I was thrown out for a day, suspended, and then brought back in with a lot of disgrace. I was that kid. I was the boy who could not pass a Hindi exam or a mathematics examination, who hated physics, chemistry, and biology, and only loved stories in history books, maps, and geography. I was that child. I would hate going up on a stage to speak. I would have a physical reaction, regurgitate before getting up on a stage to even speak. I would never have thought that the Mark you see today was the Mark that I would be. I would have never imagined it. This is a long shot for me. So when I was given the privilege of a good teacher, first in the shape of my mother and my father, who instilled very strong values of self-worth, that I was worthy of something more in my life. When I was given that privilege of watching my father suffer through business losses and not being able to put food on the table, and having my mother step in and step up and do that job of being an earning member of the family through medicine, through alternative healing. And my father did his best to do what he could for us. We saw difficult days where we didn't know if we'd be able to make it to the next year with fees for school. And we've come up from that, from having a beautiful family with love at the heart of things, a very successful father who had to unfortunately close down his businesses, a mother who had to step in and work hard for the family, a brother and sister who were growing up who were younger than I was, a Shillong in the Northeast that was militant ridden, where we didn't know when a curfew or a bandh would occur. I came from that time in the 80s and 90s in Shillong and in Meghalaya. And I must tell you, to be in a situation where I had a teacher who looked at me in class 10, I remember, my pivotal year, and who took me by the shoulders and said to me, Mark, you are capable of anything. Just being said that to my face was such a pivotal moment for me. And I'll never stop talking about how the power of teaching can be so transformational. It takes one moment, one person to look at you and really see you and tell you that you are capable of anything. And I had that privilege when I was in class 10. It was a beautiful time in my life. And way leads on to way, as they say. And I suddenly realized that I could be, do, and achieve anything. I topped my examinations that year in mathematics, physics, and computers, subjects I hated. And I went on to become somebody who was confident on stage because the teacher said, get up on the stage, do your thing. We'll support you all the way. We will not mock you for your failures. We'll celebrate you for trying. And I'll never forget those words, You celebrate the trying. You celebrate the effort. You do not mock the failures. And I think that set the foundation for the rest of my life, that self-worth, to every young person who's tuning in today, self-worth comes from, of course, it's beautiful if you have supportive parents who love you and tell you you're capable of anything. but it most importantly comes from the voice in your head. What you tell yourself every day, the labels you carry to work, to school, to your campuses. So, Dr. Gulshan and Mr. Debras, this is what we've been doing for the last 19 years, is taking those lessons from my own life to create an organization that helps young people from our corner of the country and the world understand that their worth is theirs to claim. Your confidence is yours to claim. And it comes not just from the teachers or the curriculum or the education, it comes most importantly from where you want to take your life. That's the
right.
first area of our work, confidence and
Yeah.
well-being. And, I'm going to leave it at that for now.
Mark, yes, we've all had difficult times and we surmounted those. And today we are going to discuss about the youth, teachers, and empowerment. And you are actually an ambassador for the youth of the Northeast. I've mentioned that earlier. I'm going to reiterate it again because a lot of people, I have spoken to a number of people, especially in Shillong, and many of them said, Mr. Mark Stone is a good man to get on board. And when I told Dr. Gulshan about you, he said, no problem, bring him on board. We need people like you. And that's where you are, Mark. We are here to celebrate your work, learn about your work, and maybe people watching will also learn and start their own enterprise and move on in life. Starting with avenues, what is your mantra in building a young, energetic team eager to improve the lives of young people, especially in the Northeast? I have interacted with your people in Tura, and all of them show great amount of enthusiasm. All right, so they bring onto the table a lot of life. So I would like to know about your mantra, Mark.
The word mantra is something that I take very personally because it means something you deeply believe in and will deeply stand for, no matter what the platform is. So I'm going to be very careful about what I choose to say here. But I will say my mantra is 4 words, and the team knows it. And if they're listening in, you guys know what I mean when I say start strong, but finish stronger. This is my mantra. Start strong, finish stronger. No matter what you choose to take up, it's more important that you choose to finish what you started. And a lot of us don't do that. We say a lot of things, make a lot of promises, but we don't keep our word. We don't see our projects through. And a lot of dreams die along the highway because somebody chose to lightly pluck at it and not truly embrace it. So starting strong and finishing stronger is an avenue's mantra, something that the entire administrative training coaching team believes in. If we start something and we start it strong, we ensure that we finish it even better. And it's become a way of life for us. On a personal level, Mr. Debras, I really want to speak about a very important word, especially for those entrepreneurs who may be watching at some point in the future, or for people who are leading teams. The word is culture. Now, culture is a huge word. It could mean so many things: where you come from, your identity, your roots, your faith, your systems, your beliefs, the practices, the food, the dance, the clothing. But in enterprises and in teams, your culture are the values that your team chooses. I'm using the word chooses. The values that your team chooses to live by example. And a lot of young teams and a lot of young businesses forget to address this very basic foundational pillar of entrepreneurial grit and success. I'm nowhere close to being a success, gentlemen. I will always call myself a work in progress, but I'm very proud of my team. I love my team to bits. And it's a team that's over 100 people strong now. There is a team at our headquarters, our training division, that works with youth across the Northeast. And the values are very clear. We follow 3 of them. And I'd like to enumerate them with your permission. Is that okay? I think it's something that could be a lesson for other teams as well.
Go ahead.
There are 3 values that we really hold close to our hearts. The first is the value of trust. And a lot of people mistake this to mean trusting each other. We don't talk about that. We talk about the idea that you can't progress as a team unless your weakest member becomes your strongest too. Trusting yourself to be able to deliver having the trust of your leadership to allow you to make the mistakes and celebrate your effort, not criticize the failure. Having the ability to move in that circle, we call it a circle of trust, and we even have a workshop called Own Your Stories, where we help young people feel what it's like to be in a safe space. As a leader, your job is to allow your teams to feel that they're in a safe space, like it's home. Someone very wise once told me, hey, Mark, don't worry about the losses. Don't worry about the people who leave. It's just business. It's not personal. And I looked at him with all the anger in the world, and I told him, and I had to say, how dare you? We spend 80% of our time at work, and you dare call it not a personal endeavor? Business, our careers, our jobs are deeply personal. We do everything we do in the workspace because we're doing it for someone at home. How can it not be personal? And as leaders, if we don't treat our people like family, we are truly the business class. And the business class is called the business class because it's the class that only treats business as the priority. And I hope that that changes. And I hope that enterprises like us can change those value systems. So trust is very important. The second value that we bring to our teams is courage. And courage to us means being able to tell ourselves that we can take that step to do something that we've never done before, to step out of our comfort zones, because it's only in that space, where you said, I've done this all along, I don't think it's working, I'm willing to accept, I have the courage to accept someone telling me I could be better, I could make things more efficient, I could be more productive. And that courage to take that also requires a great deal of personal strength and tenacity. So courage is the second value, the courage to do something new, and the courage to also look at yourself and address what's going wrong. And the third very important goal is respect, deep respect for our team, for the values that are enshrined in the work that we do. But most importantly, as non-formal educators, deep respect for every child who walks into one of our workshops. Each of them have a background we know nothing about. Each of them have personal problems and labels that we would like to discover and help them through. But unless we come from a place of being equal, of choosing to see someone's story for what they believe it to be, and not looking for layers and lies, I think we're breeding grounds for teams that can emerge into being very, very tenacious in the long run. And that's what I'm most proud about. Being able to have built a team over the course of 19 years. This is my 19th year now, and at Avenues as the founder, and my 22nd year as an entrepreneur. So I've actually done 2 decades of entrepreneurship, serial entrepreneurship, from selling pool and snooker tables to video game consoles to my passion was originally developing software and coding and computing. And of course, all the way up to managing events and hospitality services. But this has been my heart and passion, coaching and training for the future for our youth.
The 3 traits that you mentioned about your organization, which I have seen it in your people, okay? And I had a question for you about how would you handle a couple of setbacks? Because in every enterprise, there will be successes and a few areas where we might have a few setbacks. But you've also, Bob, answered that while speaking about 3 qualities that are there in your organization. All right. Since you mentioned that many people in the Northeast are a bit back, what are the chief challenges that you have faced in setting up an action plan for the youth of Meghalaya or the Northeast?
All right. Thank you. I don't know if I'm audible here. Please let me know. I think we had a drop in connectivity.
Yeah, you are.
Great.
It's
so thank you for that question. Mr. DeBras, it allows us to actually elucidate and explain what has been happening with the Avenues model. Dr. Gulshan, before we go on, please tell me if you have any questions to add to the mix. I like seeing you on the camera, but I want to hear your voice too.
I'm enjoying, I'm learning, I'm picking up. I will speak whenever Mr. Tyrone would desire. Please go ahead.
Sure.
Don't break your chain. It's a wonderful thought process going on. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Uh, I think I want to look at the culmination of all our efforts is a project that we are very proud of. And when you have the time, I'd like you to type in the web address www.aspire, A-S, not I-N, A-S, aspire, A-S-P-I-R-E, Meghalaya, my home, Meghalaya .org. So www.aspiremeghalaya.org. This particular program, Aspire, is something that is a culmination of our many years of work in bringing three core components into the youth development agenda. The first component is what we call confidence. The second component is communication. And the third component is clarity. But we use some very fancy terms to describe it. At the heart of it, it's confidence, communication, and clarity that can help you stand out anywhere in life, as long as you are certain about wanting to be a contributing member to your society. These are the three pillars you need. Your confidence that emerges from knowing who you are and where you're going. Your communication that has to do with how you speak to people and how you deal with other human beings, which, whether you like it or not, is 90% of what you're going to be doing is dealing with other people. And I don't mean English communication. I mean interpersonal communication. The body language that comes into it, the way you speak to other people, the tone you convey, the authenticity, your originality, how does it come across? And finally, last but not least, is your clarity of thought. Are you a clear thinker? Are you able to take a problem, logically break it down into its independent little bits and solve it and coalesce and bring together the many stakeholders who will always be working with you in many settings and allow them to see that sense of clarity that you have led them to see? Because that's leadership at the end of the day. So these three areas, for our youth, we label the program with three key phrases. Number one is build your confidence. Number two is conquer your fears. And the third is identify a talent, or celebrate your talent. So it starts with confidence. We look at the fears that they have in their lives and we help them get out of their cocoons and their shells to just be whoever they think they can be, whether it's a singer or a dancer or a sculptor or an animator. And I want to share the journey of how this has transpired with each of you, with your permission again. The term soft skills is something that is greatly overused and abused now. Soft skills has been used everywhere and nobody understands what you mean when you say soft or what you mean when you say skills, because the truth is soft skills change based on whoever's offering it. The importance that we give to soft skills cannot be undermined. Yes, it's important, but the way in which it has now become a running commercial enterprise that is just about money and gain and commerce and opportunity has allowed the industry to lose its heart. The heart of soft skills has gone, and we need to bring it back. The only way we can do it is by redefining the narrative of soft skills. And the way we're doing it is by choosing the term that the developing world, in countries wherever I've had the pleasure of visiting, the term is life coaching. There's a clear difference between training, counseling, coaching, and teaching. I mean, there are four very clear quadrants when we speak about what we're doing with our own branded avenues. And I'd like to speak about these four elements, because these four elements, when you bring them together, create wonderful centers of learning, no matter who the facilitator is. Well, let's talk about these four areas. I want to speak about counseling. Counseling is the idea that you have the basic skills required to teach young people or clients how to cope with negative emotions, how to cope with negative feelings and thoughts, and how to cope with the challenges that are more emotional and can sometimes turn into something that affects the mind. So counseling is a very important component, whether we like it or not, of anything you do as an educator. You've got to be able to listen, to understand, to empathize, and then to act on that empathy and be compassionate. Second is coaching. I love this phrase. I mean, for me, a coach is a magical human being, someone who does not tell you what to do. Like a fitness coach, gives you instructions and expects you to follow it, but does the one important thing that nobody does for young people today. There's no one to hold you accountable. I mean, even if your parents tell you, hey, you should be doing this, you look at them with big eyes and say, no, I shouldn't be doing it, or you'll have some excuse to make up. If your teachers come and tell you what to do, if you're in a college, you'll probably walk out of the room. I mean, there are instances of so much indiscipline and insubordination in teaching environments. And it comes from the idea that you must respect the young people today. Millennials and Gen Zs are now quickly emerging to have opinions, and they want to have a seat at the table. They want to have a voice at the table of decision making. And why should they not? Your decisions affect their lives, and they understand the power of opinion, and they understand the power of voice. They understand the importance of having a seat at that table. So why not question? As educators, our job has to be to embrace the questioning, to embrace that uncertainty, to embrace what we call insubordination, and turn it into something more compassionate and human. And you do this by being a coach, by choosing not to tell young people what to do, but helping them discover their answers for themselves. And at the heart of it, coaching unlocks your inner potential. And it's a very difficult skill to learn, but not difficult not to learn. I mean, you can pick it up, but it takes time and practice. So there's coaching, there's counseling, there's skills, there's training. Now, training has to do with giving you a skill you can use that you can earn for a livelihood. And that's very important too, the skills you need to survive in life. And the fourth is the pillar, the heart, the rock bed, teaching. Teaching has always been defined by learning outcomes. You have a curriculum, you have to follow it, you have to deliver it, and it has to be measured by a standard that is not defined by local nuances. Oh no, it's defined by a national narrative that needs to be the national agenda. So there's teaching, there's training, there's coaching, and there's counseling. And what we're trying to do at Avenues is combine these three other worlds of coaching, counseling, and training into one room. So when a young person walks in, number one, they know they're in a safe space. They can speak about their emotions. They can be who they are and not be judged. Number two, we train them for life. Certain soft skills that you will use anywhere: professionalism, body language, etiquette, your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, your ability to chair a meeting and record the minutes, your ability to print a document and look at an Excel sheet, your ability to make a presentation and make a point. These are the soft skills that you will need wherever you go. And the third is coaching. Coaching is a long-term relationship. It involves trust, and it involves our young people in our sessions turning to us as mentors who help them unlock, and I want to make this very clear, we help them unlock the answers for themselves. We do not give them the answers. We help them learn to think for themselves and unlock their own answers by using a framework of reference that we call the Mecca model. And if you'd like me to carry on with that, I would, but I'm going to leave it at that for now.
I will just I thank you for this wonderful detailed explanation you just given about what is being followed in Avenues. With the pandemic for the last almost 2 years, how is it affecting the youth that you must have interacted with, especially in Shillong, in Williamnagar, because I know you're working over there. So with the pandemic, a lot of people are actually suffering. How are you coping with them?
Mr. Debras, I'd like to address this on two levels. One is, of course, when you say young people, I also want to talk about the young people on our team. How is our team coping? Number one. Number two is how the young people, my young people, work with in the districts. And I must let you know that we are working currently in all 11 districts across the state, in remote pockets, in rural areas, but also that we have worked in states across the Northeast, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, and Arunachal as well. So we come from a collective set of experiences, and what has emerged in the pandemic, and I was just sharing this at a live a little while ago, was the enthusiasm of young people to learn the skills they need to survive in the new normal. And those skills are the digital skills that we are using even right now. The problem is not everyone has equal access to that opportunity. We have a lot of haves who have the devices, have the income, have the phones, and a number of have-nots who have maybe one phone for an entire family of 5 children who are fighting for the WhatsApp messages for a curriculum. I'm sure you've had those problems in your own school, Mr. Debra, so you'll know what I'm saying when I say
right.
access to devices, access to technology has to be at the heart of all government mandate and policy now, allowing people to access equal levels of technology and last mile data connectivity so that our hearts and minds and homes can have access to learning opportunities. But within our own state, given the limited circumstances and contexts, I'm very proud to say that despite the challenging circumstances of the pandemic, despite the lockdown, schools, especially teachers, have tried to find very creative ways to help our youth learn. And these are sometimes very rudimentary, basic ways. Something as simple as picking up a phone call and calling the child's mother. WhatsApp messages that have quickly turned into WhatsApp groups that are driving teachers insane almost with the kind of workload that they're having, to Google Meets or Zoom Meets like this. But the most promising story I've learned is how young people within small little communities within the state have decided to become tutors. Home to home, house to house, with enough distancing, with masks on, stepping in to help another young person understand a lesson and the outcomes needed to do the homework. It is so difficult. Even for
You
people
know,
like us who are, I think, better educated or have educational opportunities, we've been exposed to them. It's difficult for us to do the job of a teacher for our children who are not going to school anymore. Sorry,
Mark,
Mr. Debrasi, we're going to say
yeah.
something.
Since you mentioned about one device for maybe a family of 5, about a month ago, Dr. Gulshan Sharma interviewed a teacher from Kongthong village. That's
Yes.
the whistling village. His name is Banshan Lang. Okay, he's a teacher in the LP school, and that teacher made a fervent appeal to Dr. Sharma how to improve the school. And Dr. Sharma has very, very kindly agreed that he's going to change that village and the generation thereafter. I think what Dr. Sharma promised that village teacher, the LP school teacher, Banchan Lang, I believe it will be kept and there will be a transformation in that village. And what you rightly said, Mark, about the haves and the have-nots, especially among the young people, that needs to be addressed by the government, you know. And if that can be addressed, even with the pandemic, a certain amount of education will take place and there will be a bright future very soon. Before I let Dr. Sharma in, I have one last question for you, Mark. You've taught well over 10,000 people. You've transformed their lives, but there's been ups and downs. Are there any? Could you just elaborate one or two success stories that came through you?
Mr. Abras, I'd like to correct you. It's 100,000 students, not 10,000 over the last 19 years.
All right.
And I
Yeah.
take pride in that number. The problem and the challenge is, and I think this is a common narrative across the country, especially with the National Skills Mission, is that there's never been a council for leadership or soft skills in the skilling system, just for soft skills or leadership. There's something for management, there's something for hospitality, for the other sectors, but there's no sector council just for these skills. When we're looking at what's happening on the ground with our young people,
I'm sorry, I missed that. I missed that node. What sector skill council is not there? I missed that.
Specifically for soft skills.
Oh, okay.
And we call soft skills core career competencies wherever you go. These are the bare minimum skills you need to survive in any industry or any sector. And there is no council to just identify these skills and put in place a framework of reference.
So we'll recheck it once again, because there's a Colonel Anil Pokhriyal who is taking care of teachers empowerment, counselors empowerment, and this is with the IMA, All India Management Association.
Yes.
That council I think is taking care of soft skill. We'll recheck. We will recheck.
I was speaking against the larger framework of the National Skills Mission and the National Skills Development Councils. There seems to be no presence of a devoted, dedicated soft skills division there. And if ever, it is subsumed under management or leadership. As a specific youth domain, it's not present. And something that we need to address. But Mr. Bras, in answer to your question, I think especially in terms of success stories, I have a couple of very special stories, but the one I hold very close to my heart recently is the current state topper, a boy called Kevin, who comes from a very poor family in the West Khasi Hills of Mizoram. We recently went to capture his story. Kevin was a student of Avenues and a student of the Aspire Meghalaya program, and went through the entire experience of mindsets, emotions, communication, connection, and goal setting to achieve a sense of self-worth, confidence, and clarity in his life. He did this program when he was in class 9. In class 10, when he eventually hit the boards, he had no idea, but he was going to top the state boards. His father is a tailor. His mother is a homemaker. They come from a farming community, very poor family. And when we saw his name on the lists, we knew this was our lad, and we were so proud of him. We went immediately down to the West Khasi Hills to meet him. He lives in a place called Mairang, which is one of the cultural capitals of our state. And he said something very moving to me, gentlemen, that I will never. Yeah. You've seen the horizon, you've seen the clouds, you know how beautiful Mairang is. But he said something very beautiful to me that I'll never forget. You do this kind of work for many, many years with very few ideas of how to measure your success, because there's no measurement for confidence. There's no measurement for self-worth. There's no marks for presentation or communication. How do you present it? So we've had to create very interesting frameworks that assess progress, but it's these stories that really touch me. As we were wrapping up the interview, he looked at me and said, "Sir," I said, "Yes, Kevin. It matters." And I could not believe the depth in what he said. And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean, Kevin? And he said, "It matters, sir. When we see your trainers, when we see the Avenues team, you are one of us. You're like us. You come from our state and you're out there teaching and you're out there training. And we know that we can be you too, because you come from us. That's when we know that it matters. And you should know that it matters." And
Well, that's a wonderful acknowledgement.
I'm very sorry. I'm just going to switch my camera here. But I do want to say that that particular acknowledgement from him has come to us in many ways, in many forms, through letters over the years, through success stories. I'd love to speak about how 4 or 5 years ago, we had a number of students who were being placed in the hospitality sector, and we ran a very special program for the government that went across the Northeast. 1,500 boys and girls were trained. 1,340, I still remember the numbers, 1,347 were placed in hospitality properties across the country. And the difference with the way they were skilled versus how typical hospitality skilling is done was they were given the tools and mindsets required to deal with conflict and fighting and arguments and feedback and coaching in the workplace, which typically, if you know our youth, they're difficult for them to manage. There's a fight, there's a conflict, and they come running home. And there's a huge attrition in the industry. Our people were still working 3 years down the line.
That was mentioned last week.
So this problem of wanting to run home the moment you see trouble was something that stems from these very facts: the labels, the lack of self-worth, the lack of emotional coping habits. And this is what we teach and hope to inspire our youth with. So from placements to academic toppers, to people who have gone on, who have been at our winter workshops as children, coming in at ages 8, 9, 10, coming into our summer camps as adolescents at 15 and 16, coming in as engineering students to a campus we've gone to. We also pioneered the very first soft skills training program for an engineering institution of national caliber in the Northeast, NIT Manipur. We did this for 2 years. When we walked in, placements were 46%. When we walked out, the highest placement of the year was a was a 20 lakh per month salary at Microsoft, was a 67% jump in placements. When we left, it was an 85% placement record. People were getting, out of every 10 people, 8 were getting jobs. We started with out of every 10, 4 were getting jobs. So there are
That's
all of these
wonderful.
examples,
That's
Mr.
really
Libras,
wonderful.
all of these examples, but I think we've been so busy with the work, we're now compiling all of the impact. But you can see the numbers on the Aspire Meghalaya page. And we don't measure impact in the work that we do by jobs or success, because we're dealing with young people, very, very fertile minds, very young and
Well,
impressionable
your
lives.
the story you just mentioned is very encouraging, and I'm sure, with emphasis on education, and with you coming on board with avenues, I'm sure there's great promise to be achieved in Meghalaya and beyond. I think I would love to hear Dr. Gulshan Sharma ask you a few questions to Mark. Doctor.
Absolutely.
First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Tyrone and Mr. Mark. It was such a lovely evening. My friends, I was just replying to everybody. I'm having people from London. I'm having people from Canada. I've got a couple of people from US. And I was just replying them on my WhatsApp to all of them, because this is, I think, the 4th program in series, which I have just worked out a strategy with Mr. Tyrone. And I happened to discover this friend of mine during pandemic. People say people lost during pandemic. I think we discovered also a lot during pandemic. Every challenge has got new opportunities as well. Now, let me just roll back to a couple of things while conveying my best wishes, greetings, gratitudes, blessings to Mr. Mark. It was such a wonderful hearing you. And many a time when you were passing through, whatever you conveyed, it took me back to my association with Northeast right from 1973 onwards. My uniform, my first rank, my first salary, my first pay, and my first, everything is from the Northeast. And I never left an association with the Northeast. I enjoyed every bit of my association, my emotions, my spirit, my soul with Northeast. Now, moving ahead from there, let's come a little further. I was fortunate enough, like you mentioned about your life journey. I saw lots of challenges. I think I was even worse than you in studies. I never crossed the mark of 33 marks. And I was the last in the ladder, but I was happy I never got flunked. At least I could pass. And once I completed my higher secondary, I took a pledge I am never going to study come whatever may. And that's why they had compelled me to join armed forces. And I was very happy, because you get your graduation degree from GNU. Great. But nowadays, we don't want to talk much about GNU. Okay, let's move ahead further. And, having come out from the academy and having got commission and having seen that time the Northeast, I took a pledge and I decided as a young second lieutenant and a captain that I'm going to do something different in life. I'm not going to lead a kind of a normal mill of the run, run of the mill, whatever you call it. I'm not going to do that way. And I did my master's and my PhD both into service industry that time when nobody was bothering about service industry. Nobody knew it. And then there was a vacancy on deputation in the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. I cleared the exam and I was the first Indian Army officer serving as a decorated soldier moving on deputation to the Ministry of Tourism. And I pinched myself that time because 3rd class, 11th standard, sitting on the tart and on the ground all the time in one short and one, shirt throughout my school timings. And I borrowed the books of one of my friends to qualify and to clear my army exam. I didn't have money even to buy the books. I still recall. those days. And when I moved to the Ministry of Tourism and room being allocated to you next to the Parliament of India in the Transport Bhavan on the first floor, I pinched myself. I said, God, is it really happening? And God told, yes, it's happening. And thereafter, I got the responsibility to set up India's first travel and tourism institute for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. And thereafter, I just can't believe I drafted with my team first MBA tourism curriculum for India, 1988. And then introduced that in universities, colleges, institutions, and IITTM being built up. All that, and every year teaching for 2 months abroad, going to different countries, which were my dream projects. And I realized, God, where are you? I think you are with me. You're carrying me in your lap. And when Mr. Tyrone was telling about you, the grit, I was remembering Angela Dick from the United States, all the books. And I think Colonel Bannon also watching this program from Bangalore, because he's very fond of Angela Dick and the grit. And thereafter, you use something very interesting when you're talking about you're capable of anything. When you use that word, immediately I remembered when I was teaching for 2 months abroad, that money I used to realize and analyze and spend for my own growth and learning. And my mentor, my coach was Les Brown, Anthony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, all the people. And then I picked up somebody, oh my God, we lost him during this COVID. He was a great soul, the policy maker for the education, the reforms, what you see. His book is Do Schools Kill Creativity? That is the title of his first book. Do Schools Kill Creativity? And the second, Education Death Valley. There's so much. Anyway, I'll move little ahead from there. Thereafter, you reminded me when you start strong, but finish stronger. Wow, lovely. That was something. Like a good student, I have taken all that your notes in the age of 72. I'm a very humble student. And thereafter, when you told 3 things, value of trust, the circle of trust, courage, and that is to do something new, respect for the team. There's so much to learn by everybody this evening. And thereafter you mentioned, everything is fine, but what you are interested about is, your passion is, initially you were interested about IT, other things and all, but you found your passion home, that is your coaching and training our youth. I wish to share something very interesting. Today, this evening, on Saturday, at 4 minutes past 9 p.m. in India, I'm sharing with you in a very humble way. When I was leaving Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, September 93, I took a pledge, rest of the remaining life, I'm going to serve the best possible way, Northeast, whatever I can. And I have touched 52,000 souls in last 28 years from Northeast. And most of them, they are working abroad in different countries. They have gone abroad. They're doing very well. You were telling hospitality, but yes, I laugh, but I cry. They gave me very tough time. I learned so much from them. Children are naughty, but they're bound to be naughty. Sometimes they got to be naughty. If they're not naughty, then they're not children. They taught me so many good things, you know. And today, I think more than 5,000 kids are in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah. Those are into hospitality. Those are into tourism. Those are into retail. Those are into other ventures. Anyway, that's the story. Besides, I would certainly go through your www.aspiremegalaya.org. I'm repeating for the benefit of those who missed it earlier. 3 components you have given: confidence, communication, and clarity. And you were kind enough to clarify over here communication, that is interpersonal communication. If you really want to improve somebody's communication, ladies and gentlemen, I share on this platform today, listen to Nido Cuban. There is nobody a better communicator on this planet today living than Nido Cuban. He came with $5 in his pocket from Libya to America. He became the chancellor of 3 universities. He became the president of 3 universities. And he says it is no more communication. It is connecting heart to heart, connecting soul to soul, connecting mind to mind, connecting spirit to spirit. Nido Cuban, I attended his programs. Every time it was a treat for my soul. My body used to be sleeping and I used to get merged, submerged, and melted into a pot before him. He is such a powerful orator to whom I witnessed, and that is Nido Cuban. Okay. Something very interesting you gave this evening, Mr. Mark. Number 1, you touched counseling. Number 2, you touched coaching. Number 3, you touched training. And of course, finally, I think you touched teaching. And you used a very powerful word, which I strongly support and I vouch for it. It's a little sensitive subject because it's a social subject. I cannot bring reform overnight. It is humanly not possible. Some policy changes are required. I say, when we were studying up to 11th class, why have we made 12th class? Why have we made schooling up to 12th class? Because we didn't have much of jobs and we wanted to stuck the children for 1 more year. Okay, fine. If you cannot have a better teachers or teaching staff in 2 years for the B.Ed programs, what is the guarantee that you will have in the 4 years program? What change it's going to be made unless they are not going to be committed? When we get into a profession, we have done one survey. The first choice children are having, can you send us abroad? Second choice, can you put us into the media entertainment industry? Can you get us some government job where we have to work less? We should be a part of government system. And if you can't do anything with us, can you make us teacher? Can we join somewhere on ad hoc? So somewhere the perspective has to change. Just before pandemic, when I went to Vienna, to Austria, and I was sitting with one of the professor, the minister walked and we went to minister's office and the minister got up and came up to the door to receive the professor. We went, we had a cup of tea with him. He came back and he left him up to the door. Okay, thank you very much, sir, for visiting me. And this job will be taken care of. I think we have lost the glory of the teaching profession. We have to get it back. And if Mr. Mark, I don't know how much you agree with me, but if you ask my heart, what I have learned when I walked this planet for 72 years, only one thing. The teachers, those are handling children up to 7 years of age, should be highest paid in this world. It is not the professors, it is not the university professors or college professors, it is the teachers, those are handling children, those are toddler, those are just the clay. You can shape it the way you want it. I think the teachers, those are handling children up to 7 or 8 years of age, they should be highest paid. So your voice is so powerful when you're telling. Millennials are telling today, they have a voice and that voice is to be heard. And dear ladies and gentlemen, do watch a movie, The King's Speech, and where he says, I have a voice. Because if you want to improve your communication skill, you must watch a movie called The King's Speech. It's wonderful. Every child should watch that movie. Then Mr. Tyrone asked you a question on pandemic. And you were very kind, very smartly you answered that. And I noted down your answer with careful thoughts. If you ask me, I'm very happy that during this pandemic, education has become transparent. Education has become accountable. Who doesn't have challenges? When we were to shift from Ghoda Gadi, from Tanga to the steam engine, we had challenges. When we wanted to shift from steam engine to other locomotives, the electric engine, we had challenges. When we were shifting from traditional teaching to the learning, we had challenge. I think we need digital highways. We need connectivity. We need better bandwidth for all the kids, all the teachers, everybody. And the government can do. And if people, those matter in the government, if they're listening to it, why not we should give better connectivity? Why not we should give preloaded, the kind of gadgets to the teachers and the students? Every month we can reload and we can give it to the children. There is no problem. Now, final point what I would like to make. Let Meghalaya take a lead. At this point of time, the Honorable Prime Minister has made an appeal that everybody should travel to 15 places at least in India. I would like to make an appeal to everybody, the people those are abroad and people those are in India. At least if there are 8 states in Northeast, travel 8 places in Northeast part of India, because your challenge is open till December 2022. And the Honorable Prime Minister of India has made an appeal. Why not to travel at least 1 place in Northeast in each state? Secondly, I would request Mr. Tyrone and take a support of all your colleagues, those are directly into the education ecosystem. Let's start thinking about youth tourism. Let's start thinking about student exchange, faculty exchange, research exchange, collaborations. Northeast children should travel to Northern India. Northern India children should travel to Northeast. Film-induced tourism. The films have got a great impact on humanity. If Spain can get 29% tourist traffic increase from India just because of one movie, that is Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, and they're going to make a sequel now. They're supporting and they're financing another movies. First time they have shown in the movie 3 boys have gone, now 3 girls are going. Priyanka Chopra is going, Katrina Kaif is going, and Alia Bhatt is going. Please encourage media entertainment industry, more films to be shot in Northeast part of India. And why not Meghalaya should take a lead for that? Why not to invite media entertainment, film industry, Bollywood, Pollywood, Tollywood, everybody, ecotourism, nature tourism, Northeast integrated tourism, all that can take care of. Finally, ICSI would be very happy to support. Let us work. Let us plan, give some inspirational insight, grit, and somewhere shaking presentations and involving the youth and the teachers in entire Meghalaya with the support of the Principal Secretary of the Education. Why not to send 5,000 kids from Northeast part of India to serve the humanity world over? Because once the pandemic will get over, do you know that the world population is aging? And India is proud that always we say India has got Youngistan, we have got young population. If we have got young population, why can't we send well-trained our own people? It's a services export. Let them go out, let them move out. And finally, you mentioned about Kongthong village, the whistling village, what you talked about. I'm proud of that teacher who had come that day. I made a request to him, be kind enough to get your headmaster and your other 2 teachers also. I want to organize, I am available 24/7. Whatever time is convenient to them. I'm looking forward to that boy's response, which I have yet to hear. I want to organize one webinar for them. Member Parliament Rajya Sabha, Professor Rakesh Sinhaji, who visited this particular village. He was earlier Director, India Policy Foundation for good 10 years from 2008 to 2018. Today, he is in a position. I've seen all his photographs being clicked in Kongthong village. I will personally take up with him in India, in Delhi, that why don't you support and take on the ministers and MPs? They have got funding. He met the Chief Minister of Meghalaya also. Why not to take this journey forward? I am open. I'm looking forward to that teacher getting back to me, because he has to arrange one webinar for which I am waiting. The day that webinar is being done, I will take a trip to India. I'll meet him and we'll work out a strategy. Now, Mr. Mark, all the best for your visit to Dubai, because now you know the Dubai, India has taken a very big pavilion. We have spent a huge money over there, and I'm pretty sure that you will do justice over there. And also, you will be happy to know I'm a vice president of Asia Motivators Forum. We will invite you to that as well. We will invite you to that as well and be a part of it. And only one mission. No money. I don't need any money. I don't want to charge any money. I don't want to receive any money. Last 28 years, all my brothers and sisters, those are watching this program from abroad, I have not taken a single rupee from any NRI till date. Till date. And 27 years we have organized non-resident Indians annual convention, hosted the event for them for days together. We would be more than happy. Let them adopt school. Let them adopt children. Let them give gadgets directly to children, not to give money. And that's what I have told NRIs now also, that this particular village which we have got in Kongthong, don't give any money to anybody else. Give the devices and the gadgets and the computer directly to schools, colleges, institutions. Yes, if you can do, invite some teachers on exchange program. NRIs can do a lot. There are a lot of people, those have gone abroad from Northeast also, to whom I know so well. All of us, we should get together. Nobody has grown in life alone. We need a networking. And
no man is an island. Very true.
It's so important.
Doctor,
with these words,
Doctor,
I want to thank you, Mr. Tyrone, and Mr. Mark, and thereafter all yours.
Thank you, sir.
I'll end this discussion on a positive note. Thank you, Doctor, for your wonderful observation. Since you mentioned about shooting movies in the Northeast, and Uriya film in the unit is coming to Tura next week to shoot in Balpakram.
Wow.
Okay. Yes.
That's news, Mr. Ibras. Very good.
Yeah. And regarding
Mr. Tyrone, our chamber has got a very strong network with all associations in Bollywood, Tollywood, and Pollywood. You take initiative. Meghalaya government should take initiative. I will get everybody on your doorstep. They all will come.
Right, Doctor. And then after you had interviewed that teacher from Kongthong village, Banshan Lang, I was fortunate to have a little conversation with the Chief Minister, Mr. Conrad Sangma, and I mentioned that what he had told you about his difficulties. And the Chief Minister has told me that he would try and improve the school over there. So it seems to be 2021, it seems to be going in a very positive manner. And I'm grateful that Mark Stone came on board, told us everything about the successful story or work in progress that Avenues is. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you. Mark?
Thank you very much.
In fact,
would you like to...
entire gold of India is in Meghalaya, because earlier he brought Mr. Dilip Mukherjee and now he brought Mr. Mark Stone. So I think all the diamonds, all the gold, all the silver, all the bronze, everything is in Meghalaya. And we are going to take it out, and treasures, we are going to bring it before the world, and let's empower the humanity the best possible way.
Wonderful, Doctor.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ibras.
So
thank you for the platform.
Once again, on behalf of International Chamber for Service Industry, I would like to convey my deep gratitudes and thanks to Mr. Mark Stone, Mr. Tyrone D. Brass, and all our brothers and sisters, those who have joined from the world over. Green morning, happy afternoon, happy evening. Stay fit, stay fine, enjoy yourself. Always be happy, because the God knows better what is good for us. And remember one sentence which Mr. Mark has given today, that is, start strong, but finish stronger. Thank you.
Thank you.